Hey everyone, this is Pete, and welcome back to Atari A to Z Flashback, a series of short playthroughs of the 150 games that make up Atari Flashback Classics for Nintendo Switch. Today's game is Gravitar, which we've already seen in its arcade incarnation of this series when I went off on one about the little blue spaceship that could, because I was going slightly mental at the difficulty of the whole thing. But today we're taking a look at the Atari 2600 version, which came out a year after the arcade release in 1982. The 2600 version was made by Dan Hitchens, who also developed the 2600 versions of Berserk, Sword Quest Earthworld, which we'll see later in this compilation, and Mario Brothers. So he had a fair few good games under his belt. The 2600 version of this was initially released as a silver label release exclusively for Atari Club members, so it's very hard to come by now, and in fact is a very sought after collector's item. The silver label version did get released to stores in limited quantities eventually, but the main version of Gravitar you'll find out on the wild these days for 2600 is the red label version, so that's much more common. So if you're into collecting variants of games, if you can track down a silver label version of Gravitar, then that's probably worth a fair amount of money these days. So although the 2600 version of Gravitar lacks all the vector graphics and that sort of fanciness of the arcade original, it's actually a surprisingly solid port and very playable that I've quite enjoyed returning to separately from the arcade version. So let's go play Gravitar for the 2600.
Okay, here we are once again with Atari Flashback Classics. This time we're taking a look at the Atari 2600 version of Gravitar, which, like I say, is very hard to come by in its original silver label release. Over on the left there you can see the red label release that is a lot more common, a lot more easy to get hold of if you're collecting 2600 games these days. Right, let's take a look at the manual. A slightly blurry scan, but I can just about read that. The evil Gravitar set out to destroy the universe. His deadly weapon, gravity. Gravitar bombards unsuspecting galaxies with his hostile gravitational forces. He then installs a powerful reactor within each solar system of the defeated galaxy, creating a killer sun that destroys all life on the surrounding planets. He blockades those planets with lethal rammers and with automated bunkers programmed to shoot. So far, Gravitar has conquered 4 galaxies, each made up of 3 solar systems, and intelligence reports that our galaxy may be next. Gravitar must be stopped before he adds our galaxy to his list. Okay, so we have seen the arcade version of this previously on this series. 2600 version is actually a surprisingly solid adaptation. It's obviously quite a bit simpler in terms of presentation, but the actual gameplay is pretty similar. So, if you haven't watched that previous episode though, what happens is each of the solar systems you have, there are several different planets that you can go to. And on each planet you have to destroy the bunkers which are shooting at you. Alternatively, you can fly to the alien reactor and you fly through a winding tunnel and blow it up. So there's 2 ways you can finish each of the solar systems. And those are them. So, there are several different game levels that we can choose from. Press select to choose one of 5 game levels. Level 1 is the most challenging with only 6 spaceships at your disposal. At level 2 you have 15 ships in your fleet. At level 3 you have 6 spaceships, but the planetary bunkers and enemy sources can outfire at you. Level 4 offers a good practice game. You have 100 spaceships in your fleet, but watch out for shooting sources and enemy bunkers. At level 5, you have 25 spaceships and no gravity to fight. This level is a good place for beginners to start. So there's actually quite a few different ways to play. Gravitar, the arcade version, was notoriously difficult. So much so that the original designers supposedly could never finish it themselves because, as legend has it, the later levels are invisible, which is nice. So yeah, I'm sure someone out there has finished Gravitar. There's certainly sort of world record high scores and that sort of thing out there. But yeah, the original arcade version of Gravitar was notoriously difficult. So it's nice that they added some additional ways to play and make it a bit more accessible for a wider audience. So that's one reason to play this game over and above the arcade original. So let us begin. Let me just reset the console and start again. Oops. So this is a slightly later Atari release, so it's one that actually has a title screen on it. We hit the game select switch, and it will cycle round the various different versions of the game. So the 5 different variations that we've got. Let's just play on the... Actually, let's play on... Let's play on 15 chips. Come on. Thank you. Right. Game reset. And start. So there's the killer sun in the middle. And we are the little blue spaceship that could, as always. So, this is Gravitar. Much of the action involves flying over these landscapes using turn and thrust and momentum-based controls, and trying to shoot those red bunkers while fending off the enemy rammer sources, as they're known. Oops! Now you have limited fuel with which to do this as well. That's what the that number 8,502 at the top of the screen, that's what that shows. That's your fuel. You can get additional fuel by picking up these purple pods on the ground, and the way you do that is you position your ship over them. You delicately position yourself like that and pull back on the joystick to pick them up in your tractor beam. And those rammers will constantly come your way until you clear the stage. There we go. All done. So once you clear the level like that, you take off. That deals with the planet, which apparently blows it up, which is supposedly what we're supposed to be stopping. But never mind. And then you move on to the next one and do exactly the same, only with a different landscape. So the main difference between this and the arcade original is that the arcade original was presented in vector graphics, and that allowed it to do various quite fancy graphical effects, like sort of scaling in and out of the screen and that sort of thing. Whereas this one, obviously being based entirely out of iconic 2600 giant pixels, there's only so much it can do. But whoops, like I say, the impressive thing about this version is that the actual gameplay is really solid. It's a really good port and conversion of what makes Gravitar Gravatar. You've got the gravity, you've got the momentum, you've got the tricky control schemes, you've got the sort of thread the needle gameplay. Whoops. You've got my general incompetence with this sort of control scheme. You've got my... Oh no! No, I somehow managed to pick that fuel up regardless. Let's get this last one here. Oh dear, I'm doing terribly. A good job we had those 15 chips. That sort of weird energy bar thing that appears at the start of the level, that is how many ships you've got left. For some reason it chooses not to use a number for the ships you have remaining. It instead uses that bar. Alright, let's move on to the next. Alright, we've got a sort of cavernous arrangement to deal with this time. I'm not going to worry too much about the fuel this time. We've got plenty of fuel to deal with. Oh dear. Still plenty of ships. Still got plenty of ships. There we go. Oh god. Yeah, so this is a real sort of white knuckle, edge of your seat sort of experience. And here's the last one for this particular solar system. This one's quite interesting because the gravitational pull is sort of circular rather than linear, which means you can actually sort of orbit this one quite realistically, which was sort of an interesting and attractive point of the arcade original, and it's nice to see all that sort of... No! Well, I'm getting by on lots of fuel. Yeah, it was really nice to see the arcade version sort of adapted so truly in this 2600 version. I mean, yes, of course it doesn't look... Of course it doesn't look like much. But as we all know, in this period, gameplay was everything. And this... Oh, God! It's so difficult to figure out which way you need to thrust on this one. You need to sort of keep pushing away from... Yeah, that's it. You need to sort of keep thrusting away from the surface, regardless of which direction you're approaching it from. There we go. So on to the second galaxy. So if you hit one of these flying saucers in space, then you end up thrown into a battle with it. So this is the reactor. This is the alternative way that you can finish a solar system. You have to fly through this tunnel and not die, like I just did. And if you do die, you get kicked out of the reactor, so you can't just pick up where you left off. Alright, let's... Oh! Alright, let's have another try at that reactor. See if we can get there without flying saucers getting in our way. So you don't have much time to get through the reactors, is the thing. That's where the main sort of challenge comes from. Because you've got to get in, you've got to blow up the thing in the middle, and then you've got to get it out again. Ooh! That's really difficult. One more try. Oh, you have asteroid-style shields in that scenario as well. Alright, gently does it. Gently does it. That's not gently, that's flying towards the wall. No! No, 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 no. No, no, no. Oh, it's so hard. Yeah, like I say, this is easier than the arcade version, but that does not mean it is easy. It most certainly is not easy. Oh god, that's a nasty arrangement there, isn't it? Sneak through there very delicately. Oh! Yeah, it's one of those games where it's very easy to go sort of careening out of control if you're not careful. Just gotta... Just gotta sort of really keep an eye on your thrust and your speed in the various directions and just try and stay in control as much as you possibly can. And that is not easy. Not easy at all. Alright, so let's again thread the needle through here gently. Try and... Oh, and I got shot! See, that makes it more difficult. And that is why there is a difficulty level where they don't shoot at you, because it's hard enough just getting through the tunnels in many cases. Without having to worry about getting a bullet up your ass. Well, that's the end of that. Alright, let's have a go at that game 5 and just see what a difference having no gravity makes to the experience. So you see, right from the start, you have no... You're not being pulled around at all. You're not being pulled towards the sun. The only thing you have to worry about is your own momentum. Which can still cause you plenty of problems, don't get me wrong, but... it just means that you can kind of keep things under control a bit easier. So if we try the... I was going to say, if we try the old reactor without gravity and see what a difference that makes, if at all. It's not going well. It's not going brilliantly, I won't lie. I won't lie. But yeah, you can see the lack of gravity means that your spaceship doesn't accelerate as it's approaching the floor of the cavern. It's just all about your own momentum, and thus it's quite a bit easier to keep under control. Still a challenge. Oh god, too fast. Still quite a significant challenge, particularly when you get towards that middle section. But a little bit easier, I suppose. Maybe. Kind of. Actually, can you bounce off walls with your shield? I wonder. Let's find out. Together! No, you cannot. It was worth a try. It doesn't appear to be possible to actually come to a complete stop once you've started moving, so that's one sort of challenging aspect, I guess. But yeah, I guess what you need to do is just sort of keep both your horizontal and your vertical velocity under control as much as you possibly can. Quickly thrust in the other direction if you need to do so. Oh god, how the hell are you supposed to do that in that time limit? That's very difficult. Anyway, let's do some of the regular levels without having to worry about gravity. We might actually do a little bit better this time. If I remember correctly, it's actually been a little while since I played the arcade game. If I remember correctly, I think the arcade levels wrap round on themselves as well, so you can sort of fly off one side and come back on the other one, whereas in this one you just bounce off the wall. So that's one difference. I think that was how it worked. Anyway, like I say, it has been a little while. Alright, one down. Next. The sound effects you've got in this game are some of the sort of iconic 2600 sounds. Like that, the sound you make when you fire, for example, that's sort of one of the most commonly heard 2600 sound effects. It's just a really pleasing sound. I really like that sound for some reason. Oops. Actually, lack of gravity is actually messing me up a little bit here, because I'm sort of expecting to sort of just start dropping towards those fuel pods, and that's not happening, and that's sort of throwing me off a bit. So it's actually a little bit disconcerting in some of these levels. Because in order to actually start dropping down, you need to point your nose towards the ground and fly directly at it. Alright, this one hopefully shouldn't be too bad. Well, again though, you've really got to keep an eye on your momentum in this one, because if you're flying upwards, you can't rely on just natural deceleration to stop you from flying straight into the roof. Yeah, that's actually a really interesting twist on the base mechanics. Yes, I don't know if that necessarily makes it more beginner friendly, but it certainly makes it different. And that sort of element of difference definitely gives this game a certain amount of longevity. If you can play it in different ways, and sort of explore your own performance at surviving the game's challenges under various different circumstances, then yeah, that makes for a game with actually quite an impressive amount of scope for an Atari 2600 game. Okay, on to the next galaxy. Let's try this one. Oh, this looks scary. It's okay though, I got this. It's fine, it's all fine. It's just some tunnels. Nothing to be scared of. Just some tunnels that I have to navigate without the assistance of gravity. And who needs gravity anyway? Who needs gravity anyway, really? When you can just float through and go out of control towards the ceiling. Slow down, please. Thank you. Oh, you little turd. Ooh. Bit of fearless flying there from our hero. Alright, we did it. We did it, boys and girls. Now to escape. Lovely. Next. What about this one? Oh, God. Someone left a level from their platform game in my shoot 'em up. Oh, God, this is going to be nightmarish. Squeeze through the little gap. Very careful. Oh, God. Oh, God. Out of control. Gently. Gently does it. Gently does it. Death. I have encountered death once again. Very gently does it. Very gently does it. Oh God, I can't hit that one. It's just at the wrong angle. And then he hits me. Let's try a different approach. And sneak down this way. Because surely nothing can go wrong with that. It's a good job they provided me with 25 spaceships. Well, this is evidently the wrong way to do things. Alright, what about if we go... No! Oh God, this is so hard! But at the same time, it's one of those games where you just sort of get really invested in it after a while. I can feel myself sort of super concentrating on this, and it's really quite enjoyable. Oh God, I can't even get through that first hole now. Alright, I want to say you might just have to be a little bit bold at times like this, but I don't know, it's scary. The space is so tight, there's just no room to maneuver. Alright. Another one down. Let's ease it down through here. Oh, no! Oh, that was going so well up until that point. Oh, that one is just at the wrong position. So it just hits you just when you get to that exact point. A real pain, and it's got quite a range on it as well. Alright, maybe we'll try going this way again. No, that was too much YOLO. Oh, God. I'm starting to lose visible ships from my bar. Come on. Through the gap. Through the gap. Through the gap. No! Oh, dear me. You can get out of here. You're not helping. Right, through the gap. Okay, then through this gap. Okay, this is promising. Oh, I got him, finally. Right, now to just get that one down at the bottom. He's probably going to shoot us as soon as we get in line with him. No! Oh. I panicked. I panicked, and it all went wrong. Oh, this level is exhausting. It's actually physically exhausting to play this level. And if you'll excuse my phone now, that is the sound of my Amazon Prime order arriving. Right, gently. No. 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 No! Scraping my tail fins along the surface there. Oh no! Oh god! Oh god! Oh god! Oh god! Oh! The sweaty palms that this game is producing, coupled with the fact that I'm already quite sweaty from the fact that it's summer here, is not helping matters. Oh, I've done it! I've done it! I've done it! I've done it! Oh, and I've run out of lives! Oh, why? Anyway, that was Gravitar. That's a really good Atari 2600 game. If you've not played that port before, I can highly recommend it. I really enjoyed that. That was so much fun. I got super invested in it, so I apologise if the commentary wasn't super detailed, but I was basically having to concentrate my arse off in order to just stay alive in that one. But yeah, that's really cool, actually. Pleased with that. Alright, anyway, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please help out the channel by leaving a like or a comment and subscribing. New episodes of Atari A to Z are on Tuesdays and Atari ST A to Z on Thursdays. Check out atariatoz.wordpress.com for a full archive. Do please also check out my other projects moegamer.net, where I explore Japanese and Japanese-inspired games from yesterday and today, and videopackgames.wordpress.com, which aims to catalogue the small but well-formed library of the Philips G7000 Videopack computer, also known as the Magnavox Odyssey 2. You can also support my work on Patreon or buy me a coffee. You can find links to do both down in the video description. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.